even though we're geared towards the National Guard, again, because when we come back, they're deployed throughout the state. They don't have one central place to necessarily go to. We also work with reservists and anybody else in active duty. If they call me or contact me, and I'll give my contact information at the end of the show. If they contact me, if I can't help them personally, I certainly will get them to the place where they can be helped.
Now, you also you talk about when they come back. Now, what about prior to deployment?
We actually have pre-deployment weekends as well. In fact, one of the programs I'm now hoping, I hope the Secretary of the Department of Labor and Licensing Regulations is listening to me, but I have a program right now where we discussed setting up that Virginia has, very similar, where we have people from the workforce exchange or one-stops, the employment offices, employment services, come and set up and register these soldiers, especially reservists, who are civilians in real life. Okay, they are the original Minutemen. When they go overseas and when they come back, will they have a job? And so they have the ability, when they do get to a cyber cafe, to communicate, do their resumes, find out what jobs are available. So we do have a pre-deployment process to let the families and the children know, hey, these are the benefits you're going to have while your spouse is in active duty for the next 18 months. Months to get ready, and then of course a year of deployment, and then what's called TAMP, which is a process of 180 days when you come back. They still have medical care. So we still take them, from deployment to return, or from known as to return. But even if a soldier or airman in the Guard never deploys, if they come to me, I'll still help them.
It's an amazing program that you have, because we certainly didn't have that in Vietnam. It's sort of like you got on the airplane and away you went and you came back, and that was basically it. And I think the outreach to families in particular are very important, because some of them just seem like they're out there by themselves, when in fact, again, there's benefits, but they must reach out and actively contact somebody so that they can ask for the support.
Especially true for the families, because the families are not on a military base where they have this information, where there's neon signs or the Post newspaper or the neighbor next door says, have you heard so-and-so? I grew up in military bases for the most part because I was an Army brat. But a lot of times we spent time in Air Force bases where I know, as I say to my Marine Corps buddy here, how nice the Air Force had it. Because we actually stayed at Air Force bases. But the families of Guardsmen don't do that. They're all in their own communities. They may be the only person in their town or in their neighborhood that even has anybody in the military more or less deployed. So they do need those services.
So where is your office? Do you have an office location, or do you work out of the Maryland?
Yes. I have an office right here. 24/7. I have my cell phone. I don't mind giving it out. It's 410-370-6916. And this is my office, and I'm in a car. Now, actually, I do have a physical office, not much bigger than a cubicle, at the 5th Regiment Armory in Baltimore. But not too many soldiers are going to walk in, or airmen for that matter. So I usually go out to a lot of events like this one, and I'll come out and see them at their location, whether it's the Armory, whether it's a civic event, or whether it's another kind of activity. I was going to try and set up for a Bowie Day, which is coming up here in this town.
Fest.
The Bowie Fest, but unfortunately...
Well, if you can... you're certainly welcome.
Well, I certainly would like to, but unfortunately I have a pre-deployment for a bunch of units that are leaving, and that's that very same day. Otherwise, I had planned to be there. I'll try next year. So that's the kind of stuff that we do, to try to be the person out there that if nobody else knows the information, at least somebody, his commander, his first sergeant, or his full-time readiness NCO at that National Guard Armory, or that Army Reserve, or Navy Reserve, or Marine Corps Reserve, or Air Force Reserve, or Air Guard, can contact me and say, listen, I got a soldier that needs such and such a problem. Do you know where I can get that resolved? And usually I do.
You say you're at the 5th Regiment Army. Is that where General Atkins is?
Yes, that's correct.
Right, the Adjutant General.
That's correct.
Yeah. Right. Now, one thing I want to say is that, we had another panelist tonight, and due to another commitment, and then I got a hold of the Secretary's office, and Kate, we tried to get a hold of Cynthia, who's the new Director for Advocacy and Outreach. She had a viewing to go to tonight, a funeral. She said, well, give Howard a call. And so that's how I found out about you. The only problem is, as much as I have been involved with the department, this is the first time I knew that you existed. And we have to do something, really do something to get you more exposure.
Well, that's one reason why I'm on this program,
right.
Because we realize, especially for the Afghan and the Iraq generation, they're more Facebook, Twitter, text message based.
Right.
They don't necessarily go to these musters or the VFW, American Legion, or Disabled American Veterans, or the other service organizations, Blind and Paralyzed Veterans of America. And so cable is one way of reaching them, we hope.
Right.
Radio, perhaps. Right. And of course, you're right. Just by making myself be known, my presence, we just did a survey. So they must be listening to you. They did a survey that I just sent out to my entire state saying, how many people know who your transition assistant advisor is? If you know who he is, you know what his name is. It was a 5-minute survey. I wasn't too excited putting that survey out, but we naturally had to see
Right.
what kind of reaction we were going to get.
Right.
And so we know where we need to adjust. And a lot of times the problem is when they come back from overseas or before they're ready to deploy, they get so many briefings all day long and they get PowerPointed to death. They don't remember all that stuff. And
Right.
it really isn't until they've been back, in a lot of cases, 6 months or even longer, when they go, you know what, honey, I got this problem, or we need some help, or I need some help. And I'm trying to think where to go. And maybe they can't find that book, that thick book that we gave them with all the context information. So if they call the state headquarters for the Maryland Guard, or they call the Department of Veterans Affairs for the state of Maryland, one of the two of us are going to know about the other and can find some help for that particular soldier, sailor, airman, Marine, or Coast Guardman.
Have you been in touch with Sergeant Major Brand Thompson with the General Cook Foundation out there in Frederick?
Not with him specifically, but I actually have talked to the General Cook people. We had meetings when the original relationship was established between the National Guard and what they were doing. So if I met him, I don't remember him particularly, but I met members of his staff.
Right.
And when we had a meeting a year, 2 years ago in the 5th Regiment Armory.
Because they're really big in helping the Afghanistan, Iraq people, and as I say, predominantly they're in the Frederick area, Western Maryland, which is really good. And
they're hoping to, if the donations I know were a problem for them last year, getting enough because they had used a lot of the funds that they had raised. But assuming they have enough money, their plan was eventually go statewide.
yes, right.
Well, I think also one other option for you would be to come to our Prince George's County Commission for Veterans and give a presentation down there, because the county has 77,000 veterans here, and Ray and I are part of the commission, and we certainly can give you information after the program and see if you can't come down and be one of our guest presenters.
Certainly. I'm supposed to do that for Montgomery County, so I certainly would do it the county that I live in,
Are you available the first Monday in June?
I have to look at my schedule.
Okay, because we meet at the Camp Springs facility there in Allentown Road. And in fact, Judge Devlin is now the acting chairman because our other chairman, his time was up and he resigned, Henry Turner. So unfortunately, Judge can't be here, but we will extend that invitation to you to come and just let me know. You have my email, so give me an email, and then we can go ahead and really, you can brief the commission. We have 13 members on the commission.
And what date would this be?
Monday, June the 6th.
I should be available there.
We meet from 6, well, it's from 6 until 9, but it's 6 until.
We meet almost every month.
Isn't that D-Day?
Yes.
I thought.
Yes.
Can't miss that.
Yeah.
How did you get your training to become a transition advisor?
Actually, the previous, I've been now about coming up on 2 years, and previous to that, I had been a state benefits advisor for the Maryland National Guard, and so I became, in many ways, a subject matter expert for military benefits for active duty or active drilling soldiers. And what had happened was about 10 or 15 years ago, I was flying space available. I was using all these different various benefits, and getting free into state parks because of my military ID. I didn't know that, and all these. There's over 3,500 resorts that the reservists or active duty military can use, or retired veterans, and they didn't know about the Armed Forces Vacation Club. So I began to realize it because I had grown up in a base and I had been around the military my entire life. That I had all these benefits I knew about, but the average civilian didn't. So I began researching it, putting together a little booklet. To make a long story short, the Guard came to me and said, hey, listen, we saw a presentation of yours. We want to make a training package. Well, they took my 1 hour presentation and turned it to 5 hours. And I said, no troop's going to sit down and listen to 5 hours of briefings. I said, and I never knew what happened to it. Nothing ever happened. So we're now in the process, in fact, the office of the G1 for the Maryland National Guard to print about 5,000 benefits brochures for people in the Maryland National Guard. So when they deploy, when they come back, they and their family will know all the benefits. And that's in addition to a nice handbook that everybody can get at www.va.gov for government. And you can get the new federal handbook for service personnel and their families. And that's, I don't mean to be sacrilegious when I say that, that's sort of the Bible for VA benefits. I look at that book and it gives me, it's not the regulations, but it gives me an explanation. that I can direct me to go someplace else. But every veteran should have a copy of that federal handbook. It's a free one. It's available online. There's also a state benefits handbook that you can get at the Maryland Department of Veterans Affairs website, which I don't know off the top of my head. But if they contact me at www.maryland, the word Maryland written out, TAA for Transition Assistant Advisor, www.marylandtaa@aol.com. I'll put them in contact, with those resources, or they can just Google Maryland Department of Veterans Affairs, and they have a state benefits handbook that's also available on their site.
Yeah, we can get all those websites, and we'll put them up on the show.
I'll give Tom the bio with all your information on it, and he'll be able to put that on right there on the on our scrolling after the program. Howard.
Do you have a schedule, like where you're going to be over the next few weeks?
Yeah, my schedule basically is your schedule. When I hear an event that's coming up, I immediately put it on my schedule. So I do a lot of stuff on Saturdays and Sundays because that's when people are off and they're available, or in the evenings. So I'm really, my whole deal is to get as educated and make as many contacts and resources and services and resolutions agencies or individuals that can help resolve problems for these troops. And when I'm not doing that, is to go out to places where they are, or to go out where there's groups that are whether it's commissions or organizations, whether it's the VFW, the American Legion, DAV. I just went to the Elks Lodge last year where the Rockville DAV had a briefing last week on information benefits. We had maybe 100-some people show up. So I go to these various events. We're trying to figure out, we can go to the state fair. How could one man, one booth for one person over many, many days? Mm-hmm. So we're working out different things. Both I and the Department of Military Affairs have a concern about outreaching to the veterans of the Afghan-Iraq War, especially because the other veterans by now have already learned their benefits for the most part.
Have you been invited to any of the state conventions here in Maryland?
Yes, I have been to the 29th Division State Convention.
I'm talking about the American Legion or VFW or DAV.
There was some talk, but no, I have not been to it yet. No.
Yeah, there's where the veterans are. Now,
that's where the older veterans are. I don't see a whole lot of the younger veterans, and that's a problem we're having right now. And I'm not so much worried about the older veterans because they're well established and that they've already made contacts, they worked it out, we'll still take care of them. But my experience of having been to a lot of VFWs and American Legions around the state, a lot of them pretty much have contacts. Because the VFWs, I tell any veteran, even if you come right back from Iraq, you don't file for a compensation or any type of complaint with the VA unless you go through one of the military service organizations, the Veterans of Foreign Wars, or the American Legion especially, or the Stable
American
Veterans. And there are others as well. There's another one that escapes me right now.
Purple Heart has a good one.
Well, Purple Heart, and there's another one too. Another one I'm embarrassed for. AMVETS.
Yes.
Thank you, America. So there's other organizations as well, and I don't know whether Paralyzed Veterans of America or the Blind Veterans of America, whether or not they have service officers. But a lot of these people have service officers which can help them file, so they have the knowledge. Mm-hmm. It's the younger ones now who need to pick up the knowledge and eventually pick up the ball, because a lot of our older service officers from the Vietnam and the World War II era are retiring or have retired.
Well, it's hard to believe, but our 30 minutes are up. And I want to thank Howard for being our guest tonight. And I want to thank you for watching Veterans Forum. We hope you enjoyed the program and learned important information for you and your family. Now we ask you to get involved with your fellow veterans here in Bowie by stopping by at the DAV on 197 or at the American Legion on Laurel Bowie Road. Stop in, meet your veterans. We ask even the family members to stop in and find out about the veterans benefits that you and your loved one have earned. Thanks again for watching Veterans Forum.